he brought something very fresh and different. It was so different. Dress Rehearsal Rag is interesting. I don't sing it, and I should. I don't do Pirate Jenny very often, and I should. Because that whole album, In My Life was the name of that album. It had, of course, the Beatles song on it, In My Life. We actually came to England to record that and to record the Marat Sade music because that had been done in England. We wanted to use the same singers, and I had pieced together the song. It actually doesn't appear in the way I perform it. I put it together with the tape that I had of the music for the Marat Sade. I just spliced it together and made into a number of fragments, something that would go from one end to the other. Marat were poor and the poor stay poor. So the album itself sprang out of the singer-songwriter tradition into something totally new. First of all, we were using Josh Rifkin, who was a marvelous orchestrator who had come into my life because of the album, the label that Jack Holzman had started called Nonesuch. Nonesuch was Josh Rifkin's platform. He learned all of the Scott Joplin songs and made them very popular. He did orchestrations and conducted much of the Baroque repertoire that is on Nonesuch. He was an amazing orchestrator and a doll to work with. And when Mark, my producer, and I, whom I had worked with on a number of albums, were conceiving this idea of getting away from take off your thirsty boots. Nothing wrong with thirsty boots, but we wanted to move away from Dylan, from Pete Seeger, and into something new and fresh. So that's when Leonard appeared. And in a way, because the album was so fresh and different and new, the idea of Leonard being part of it wasn't so odd. Perhaps it would have been if it had been a guitar singer-songwriter album, as the ones that I'd been making previously. I don't think he would have fit into that category necessarily, although perhaps Suzanne would have. I'm not sure. But the songwriting itself has a kind of breadth and depth, which, after all, I was very exposed to good songs and good songwriters, but they fell within a certain kind of genre. And when I heard Leonard, I knew there was something that appealed to me as a songwriter and as an artist. It stretched me. The whole album was stretching me. Going back to playing Pirate Jenny and to doing Kurt Weill and to doing Marat Sade meant that I had to get back to my piano playing, and I had to learn those songs on the piano. I had abandoned the piano when I took up the guitar. And although I practiced still, I didn't use it in my performances. And that's the watershed moment. That album, In My Life, with Leonard's songs on it, with the Beatles, with Kurt Weill, with Richard Peasley. What else is on that album? There are a lot of interesting things on it. But it really it was a demarcation of a different kind of adventure for me. And Josh Rifkin's orchestrations of Dress Rehearsal Rag and of the Marat Sade, the other things on that, are extremely different than anything I'd done. So we didn't know we were taking such a risk. We didn't know how scary that ought to have been. I read a review recently of In My Life, which is just decimates the whole album. It was written in 1966, and it's a shattering review. Everything about the album was disapproved. So that's what I like, because it means that there's something that I'm doing that's very different and that will take some time. Of course, it was a big album. It was an important album. It got Leonard's material launched in a way which was phenomenal. And so much so that the next thing I knew was in the fall of '66, and the album was out, and I was invited to sing for some big fundraiser for WBAI in New York. And Leonard had never performed in public. This is remarkable because 4 years later, there's that program which includes his performance at the Isle of Wight. And he's just amazing, I think. And when he stepped out onto the stage, I pushed him out and he sang Suzanne, and about halfway through he stopped and left. And people went crazy. They love that. When you have any kind of trouble on stage, people are joyful about it. They love it. They think they're seeing the human side of Leonard Cohen or Judy Collins. So he walked off the stage, and I said, well, I'll go back and sing it with you, which I did. Later on, he claimed he had broken a string. Very possible. But in any case, from then on, whiz-bang, fabulous performer. And he grew very quickly into just an extraordinary performer. I saw the We'll Take Manhattan tour in New York, and it was a breathtaking performance of an artist who had become, in a very short time, very seasoned. And I think that, too, is a result of a lot of things. First of all, his songs were taken up by the folk community, but also by the music community at large. In part, he probably stepped up the idea of crossover and of people from all walks of life and music doing his songs, from Bird on the Wire, of course, to Hallelujah.